Which is healthier, a salad with cooked quinoa and chickpeas, or a salad with raw chia seeds, flax seeds, hemp seeds, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, and sesame seeds?
Okay, so what I did is I put this into my Diet Doctor software analysis tool, shown here by Vanna White almost. And I looked at it, and well, the quinoa and the chickpeas came out to 23 grams of protein. And I didn't analyze the salad, just the quinoa and chickpeas. And if you put together, I used 1 cup of chickpeas, 1 cup of quinoa, a reasonable amount. And then I used 1 ounce of each of those seeds. And when I added it up, the protein was 34 from the seeds, so a little higher. The calories were 491. Now that's a very reasonable size for a meal. If you did that 3 times a day, you'd be losing weight. On the other hand, it was 823 calories for the seeds. Seeds, when you eat, and that's 6 ounces of seeds. It's not that much, is it? But they're very dense calorically. So they added quite a lot. If you ate that 3 times a day, you'd likely be gaining weight at 2,400 calories per day. Now, the saturated fat was fascinating. With the chickpeas and the quinoa, 1 cup each, the saturated fat was 0.8 grams. Excellent. You're never going to go over with something like that. The saturated fat for the 6 ounces of these 6 nuts and seeds was 7.9. Now, this is more than a fast food hamburger saturated fat. So you really have to be a little bit careful eating too much fat. Even from these healthy seeds, it added up because there were just too many of them. 7.9 grams of saturated fat, you get 11 per day. You're very likely to go over that day. Now, the alpha-linolenic acid, our basic plant-based omega-3, was only 0.3 in the chickpeas and quinoa, not enough. On the other hand, in all those seeds, it was 12.8. Now, our daily need is about 2 or 3. 12.8 is too much. If you get too much of the ALA, you can actually reduce your ability of your immune system to fight cancer and infections. So you're not really doing yourself a favor
black
with
and blues,
too much.
bleeding.
Yeah, even bleeding problems can
Thinner
arise
skin.
probably at higher levels than this. Now, the vitamin E levels were a little low at 4 for the quinoa and chickpeas. If you ate 3 meals, you'd get 12. You'd still be under the 15 you need per day. The vitamin E was excellent for the seeds at 24 milligrams, all you need for a whole day. So in a way, it's interesting to actually analyze these two things so that you can see their pluses and their minuses. And that's the way I do it. I use the Diet Doctor software. It is available at drsteveblake.com. If you want to analyze your own diet, these things are invisible. So the software makes them visible.
If this were my kitchen, I would choose 1 or 2 of the seeds that are high in the alpha-linolenic acid, the omega-3. For example, the flax seeds, and maybe chia seeds as well. But I wouldn't also,
You wouldn't do all
I wouldn't
6.
do hemp seeds as well. I wouldn't need all 3. And I would choose maybe 1 of the sunflower seeds or pumpkin seeds. I don't need them every single meal. And then I would mix and match. So I would have some of the chickpeas and quinoa, which provide excellent nutrition and different nutrients than the seeds do, and some of the seeds. So I'd have a wonderful salad combining them both.
In fact, we do that.
We do. We do.
The way to go.
We do.
Interesting, isn't it?
Is it okay to cook with oil? Some have said that cooking any oil is not good since cooking makes all oils dangerous.
I might go one step further and say using oil is not a good idea. I have a whole chapter in my book, Fats and Oils Demystified, that's dedicated to seeing what happens to an innocent, say, sunflower seed when it's made into sunflower seed oil. And one of the first steps is to grind it up and soak it in hexane. Now, when you fill your car with gasoline, you see that vapor coming off the top? It's mostly hexane. It's a neurotoxin. Residues remain. There are no limits in the US, although Canada and the EU do limit the
How
amount
much
of
hexane per seed?
Too much. Oh, how much they use? Yeah, I thought, well, they probably just put in a couple teaspoons of hexane in every ton of seeds, so that's probably not a problem. Then I looked it up. They actually use a ton or 2 of hexane per ton of ground up seeds. So there's a huge amount. Now they try and extract it back because just to conserve it so they can use it for the next batch. But as I say, and one of the main reasons they try and lower it is because hexane's so flammable that the boxcars will explode if the residues are too high. That's from the mash left over from making the oil.
Okay, then what do they do with the seeds?
Anyway, the process of making oil involves heating quite a few steps. Even if it's cold pressed, it's heated. So what happens when you heat any oil is you create reactionary products called malondialdehyde that can cause DNA adducts and increase our risk of cancer. Also, of course, the oil is stripped out of most of its vitamin E, all of its fiber, almost every mineral that's beneficial. It's basically pure calories like white sugar. So if you take a beet and reduce it to beet sugar, it's similar in some way to taking a seed or a bean or a nut and reducing that to an oil. That's why I like to get our fats and oils from whole intact nuts and seeds. It's fine if you want to use a nut butter or a creamy walnut dressing, blend it, grind it up.
Okay, now ask me the same question.
Is it okay to cook with oil?
Okay, so don't tell Steve, but occasionally I sneak some oils in, and I like occasionally toasted sesame oil for flavor. But what I do most of the time is I choose vegetables that I can, if they have a little bit of water in them already, zucchini, mushrooms, I can put them in a pan. I use a cast iron skillet, and I put a lid on it, on low or medium-low heat, and it starts to sweat. It provides its own moisture, so it doesn't stick to the pan. Then I can put in other garlic or onions that could stick if I used no oil. So I'm starting off without oil in most cases. Then I'll add a tiny bit of water if I feel that it needs that. Then I add spices, whatever I'm in the mood for that we need that day, using them medicinally in our food. And I can create wonderful vegetables without using oils most of the time. But as I say, if we're having company over or something, I'll break out the
And the
bottle.
reason she uses sesame oil is because it has a heat-activated antioxidant that helps offset the carcinogenic tendency of rancid heated oils. So sesame oil is perhaps the best oil to use if you're going to heat it up. Use the minimum amount and heat it the minimum amount, and that'll be the safest.
And then what I'll do is, instead of the oil, I'll make one of my many toppings. Best Friends is another one that I make that's just great. It's cashews and red bell peppers cut the same size, simmered at the same time, low heat for a while covered, and they make an incredibly wonderful topping. Now, you know, organic red bell peppers are wonderful. They're very high in vitamin C. They're even high in nicotine, which is helpful for Parkinson's disease patients, who we've seen a lot of. And then the cashews are nice, sweet, delicious nut. They provide some vitamin E.
And it's a topping.
And, there's the topping. Delicious. Or gomasio or garlic gomasio.
So on a salad,
lots
instead
of
of
things.
chug-a-lugging the olive oil, she puts this topping on. It's delicious.
Yeah, so it's instead of a sauce sometimes too.
Why is hexane included in the seeds?
It's a solvent that allows for greater profit by the manufacturers of oils. Hexane is not always used. Sometimes they use gasoline or carbon tetrachloride, known as dry cleaning fluid. None of these things are any good for us. They're used simply to maximize profit, and they are not regulated in the US as far as residues go, although they are in most of the rest of the world. And I think they should be. Organic oils, by the way, are forbidden to use hexane. So organic sesame oil would be your best choice. Again, tiny amounts, rarely used, and not heated much.